In the deserts of Saqqara in Egypt, historian James Rahm showed me where Nectanebo's unused funerary temple once stood. Since it was empty when Alexander died, it may have been the perfect place to temporarily store his body.
And what about the sarcophagus? Does this stay in Saqqara? Is that where it was found?
No, the sarcophagus is discovered in Alexandria.
Wait a second. This sarcophagus, which weighs what?
7 tons.
7 tons, was moved hundreds of miles to Alexandria.
Exactly, yes.
So why move this thing?
He would only move this thing in order to carry the body of somebody really important.
Like Alexander the Great.
Such as Alexander the Great, specifically Alexander the Great.
Andrew believes that this sarcophagus, containing the gold-lined mummy of Alexander, was brought to Alexandria, where it was used to hold the body inside his tomb, and where it remained until the tomb itself disappeared around the year 400. Okay, this part sounds plausible, but now things get murky. Andrew also believes that the body and the sarcophagus go their separate ways because of a major religious shift in Egypt.
What happens historically is that the Emperor of Rome decrees that Christianity will now be the only legal religion.
Right.
And Alexander is a pagan god by order of the Senate, so this is a big problem.
Andrew contends that the sarcophagus and the body within were hidden to keep them safe from the threat of a newly dominant religion.
And what of this sarcophagus? Where does it go?
We know that it must have been moved from the tomb because it turns up in a rather unusual place.
And just as I'm starting to think that Andrew has read too many Dan Brown novels, he shows me this: a map of Alexandria from 1575. On it is a structure known as the Adarine Mosque, depicted by a minaret and a small octagonal building.
And Josh, can you see what's written underneath that small octagonal building?
Domus Alexandri Magni.
Exactly, and that is Latin for the house of Alexander the Great.
Andrew explains that by the late 1500s, the sarcophagus had moved to the mosque for safekeeping. And he's got the receipts.
And we know that because of Napoleon.
Napoleon?
Yes. Napoleon came to Egypt in 1798 with an invasion fleet, and he took Alexandria.
Right.
And that's when he found the sarcophagus. If you look here on the next view, this is an engraving made by Napoleon's scholars.
And now were we inside this mosque?
We're inside the courtyard of the mosque. You can see the minaret again here, and you can see the small octagonal building. And inside, if you look very carefully, you can see the sarcophagus that stands right behind us.
It's here in the mosque?
Yes.
Once the British took Egypt from Napoleon in 1801, the sarcophagus was brought here to London. This means, though it sounds crazy, this 7-ton chunk of granite may actually have held none other than Alexander himself. But Andrew is sitting on an even bigger bombshell: the true location of Alexander's body.
Right around the time that Alexander's tomb disappears, we have the appearance of another really important tomb, the tomb of St. Mark the Evangelist, no less.
As in the book of Mark, as in from the Gospels of the Bible?
Exactly that Mark.
St. Mark the Evangelist was not only the source for a New Testament gospel, he was the founder of the Christian church in Alexandria. And it is true that his tomb conveniently materializes there just as Alexander's disappears.
So what about the body? Where does the body go?
Andrew thinks that the body of Alexander and the magnificent Soma, his lavish tomb, were simply repurposed. Instead of belonging to the founder of Alexandria, they were rebranded as belonging to the founder of Alexandria's church, St. Mark.
Now, wait a minute. I thought that St. Mark's body was in Venice. Isn't it in Italy, in this giant basilica there?
Yes, that's because in 828 AD, when the Christians in Alexandria were under pressure from Islam, they allowed some Venetian traders to take the body back to Venice and rebury it there as the patron saint of the city.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that the body of Alexander the Great is in the tomb of St. Mark in Venice?
That's certainly the idea.
We are now in full Da Vinci Code territory. This theory, if it's true, would be like dropping a grenade into history. a revelation that the long-lost body of Alexander the Great has been lying in Venice since the 9th century, masquerading as Saint Mark the Evangelist.
And how could you possibly prove that?
The body of St. Mark used to be in a crypt in Venice, but the body in 1811 was moved upstairs because of the threat of continual flooding in the crypt.
Then, in 1960, an archaeologist discovered embedded in the wall of the crypt an astonishing artifact. A block of sculpted ancient limestone depicting a long-handled spear, as well as a shield bearing the Star of Vergina, the same Macedonian symbol that appears on the funerary box of Alexander's father, Philip. What is it? Well, Andrew believes that Alexander's sarcophagus was wrapped in a custom casing, a Macedonian layer covering the original Egyptian inscriptions, meaning that the block in St. Mark's crypt was once mounted on the sarcophagus that is currently here in London.
It's a jigsaw puzzle. If we could prove that this star shield block fits the sarcophagus, it would prove the theory. It's unlikely that the church will allow us to bring the block here, but if we could get a scan of the block, then if it interlocked with the sarcophagus, we would have proved the theory.
It would demonstrate that Alexander's body was in this sarcophagus, and it would demonstrate that the body that was brought to St. Mark's originally was also Alexander.
Exactly.
Okay. Does this mean we're going to Venice?
You're going to Venice.
All right, off to Venice. You just wait here and I'll be right back. Maybe don't wait here, it's gonna take a few days. But I will be back.
Bon voyage.
Okay, I'll be back.
To investigate Andrew's theory, I rush to Heathrow and fly from London, 700 miles, to Venice, Italy. This place has many names. City of Bridges, City of Canals, the Floating City. Take your pick, they all fit the bill. That's because while Earth has plenty of perfectly good land to build on, at some point in history somebody said, nah, let's do something much harder. And well, here we are. 126 islands connected by 472 bridges. It is as improbable as it is beautiful. There's just no place else like it on the planet. And at the center of this floating dream is the square of St. Mark's, lorded over by its stunning basilica.
When you first see St. Mark's, it literally takes your breath away. And whether you find it majestic or a little gaudy or divine, one thing's for sure, it is unforgettable.
Subtle it is not. Beneath the domes of the church are 86,000 square feet of mosaics, marble, and gold, enough to cover nearly 2 football fields. It is one of the most opulent houses of worship in the world, and it is all to honor St. Mark.
In particular, take a look at the mosaics on the outside of the basilica. So, St. Mark's remains were allegedly brought here in the year 828, when Venetian sailors stole his body from a church in Alexandria. They smuggled him out in a barrel of pork fat, which, judging by the reactions, probably didn't smell very good. What's really weird, though, is the condition of his body. So they brought him here 700 years after his death, but do those look like 700-year-old remains?
The mosaic shows onlookers gathered around a fully intact corpse, not a skeleton or a box of bones as one might assume after so many centuries, which could suggest the body was preserved or even mummified.
Now, there is one really easy way we could solve this mystery. A scientific analysis of whoever's entombed inside could certainly help identify the individual. But unsurprisingly, the Catholic Church is not all that jazzed about the possibility of a St. Mark Alexander switcheroo, so I've probably got a better chance of being made a saint than getting access to whoever's inside. But lucky for me, the thing I'm here to investigate isn't inside the church at all.
Far from the crowded square, tucked away in the labyrinth of Venice's canals, is a place most visitors never see, the cloister of St. Apollonia. It's here that the church has stored the mysterious block discovered in the crypt of St. Mark. I'm meeting with imaging expert Pietro Maloney, who leads me to the relic.
Well, just, this is it.
This is the piece.
Yeah.
That's the symbol of Alexander. Right away, you can see that this is something really special. This is clearly that star shield that is like the symbol of Macedonia.
And have you seen the spear?
Oh yes, this is a spear. This is the tip, and then it actually is broken off where the stone is broken, but clearly a long spear.
It was a Sarissa spear.
It does, it looks like a Sarissa spear, like the exact spear that Alexander's army used to great effect.
Sarissas were long-handled spears pioneered by Alexander's father, which helped Alexander conquer most of the known world.
And then we have something else here that can't really tell what this is. Could be an arm, somebody holding the spear, could be a leg, the way that it tapers. But these are very evocative of Macedonia. Like, this is a very weird thing to find in the tomb of a Christian saint.
Sure.
We have to get a scan of this so that I can bring that data back to the British Museum and see if this somehow links in with the sarcophagus they have there.
No problem. I have a scanner with me.
Let's get into it.
Pietro breaks out an Artec Leo scanner. It takes 40 photos a second, which are knitted together to create an ultra-detailed 3D image of the block, accurate to within fractions of a millimeter. We start scanning every square inch of the stone, making sure to grab data from multiple angles. It's painstaking work. For those hard-to-reach spots, I stand atop a stepladder to scan above and behind the artifact. Eventually, though, we manage to cover the entire thing.
Okay, moment of truth. Do we have a good scan?
Yes, it looks great.
Oh, look at that!
Yes.
Amazing. All of these features really jump out. We can even see, to some extent, behind it.
Yes, we can explore the geometry of the block, and we can also see it in plain color.
Wow, but that's really interesting because you get a lot of highlights.
Yes, more details.
Much more detail when you look at it monochromatically.
Sure.
This looks awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Okay, well, back to London.
With the scan complete, I hurry back to the British Museum, where I reconnect with historian Andrew Chugg.
Hi, Josh.
Right where I left you.
Hi, welcome back.
To see if the block from St. Mark's in Venice once belonged on this sarcophagus found in Alexandria.
I'd like to introduce to you Joe Steele, director and co-founder of Visual Skies.
Great to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Josh.
It's a 3D scanning company that can help us with our reconstruction.
Terrific.
That's right.
And you got the data that I sent from Venice?
Absolutely, I have it loaded here now.
Did I do okay?
Fantastic scan, I've never seen better. I'm out of a job almost.
Oh, come on now. You're laying it on too thick, Joe.
No, it's all right.
So let's take a look at it.
Yeah, so here we go. Here's the scan you did.
This is amazing. It's like floating in free space here.
Yeah, that's right. This is augmented reality.
Augmented reality will allow us to virtually place the casing block in real space and to see if it fits onto the sarcophagus in front of us.
And I have to say, Andrew, it really is, as you described it, this looks so Macedonian. This looks like that classic star shield.
Absolutely, it has the symmetries and the spareness in the design. It has life-size weapons. We can see a Macedonian cavalry sarissa. We can see the star shield itself with the famously emblazoned Star of Vergina. And that very badly damaged feature there is a pair of greaves, lower leg armor.
So you think this would have been like battle armor?
It's what we see in the same kinds of scenes in other contexts.
Right.
In fact, the greaves, or leg armor of Alexander's father, were prominently placed in his tomb back in Greece.
On the side, if we rotate it round a bit, we can see that there's a Macedonian kopis sword, and it's suspended diagonally from a tasseled belt, which is hung around a peg.
And this is also a Macedonian symbol?
Absolutely pure Macedonian symbol seen in other Macedonian tombs of high status.
Okay, so now the big question is, does this fit on top of the sarcophagus? So how do we figure that out?
So what we can do is layer this on top of the sarcophagus as it exists today using augmented reality.
We can actually walk around it and see if it fits.
Exactly.
Wow, the future's amazing. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
It is so cool to see this digital scan projected into the real world here. First thing I notice is that the block and the sarcophagus are really similarly sized.
Yeah, I noticed the same thing, and the block and the sarcophagus are the same size to within a centimeter, which is just crazy.
Andrew, that's really promising right out of the gate.
That's absolutely incredible.
But it doesn't quite work with this on the end though, right? It would kind of be hovering off there in free space.
That's right.
Let's try it over here.
Yeah, down here.
Let's go. What do you think?
This doesn't work either because there's no real indication that this stone connected to a curved segment. If anything, it seems like a straight piece came in there. Okay, we keep looking.
We continue to test the block all around the sarcophagus. Andrew's theory is on the line here.
What if it doesn't fit anywhere?
Oh, I think it will. I have faith.
You have faith?
Absolutely.
Well, I hope that works out for us. Otherwise, we're all going to be at the pub in about a half an hour.
If the block doesn't fit, then the body in St. Mark's Basilica may only be St. Mark, not Alexander the Great. And how boring would that be?
So this also seems like a bad fit.
We're not quite there yet.
Could it have fit in the center somewhere, or you think it's an end piece?
It's an end piece, I'd say, because of the sword on the side.
Come on, come on.
There you go, yeah.
It fits!
That's it.
That is it!
Absolutely.
Oh my God. That is a perfect fit.
That's where it fits. Bang on.
In the British Museum in London, we're using augmented reality and have just matched a Macedonian funerary block found in the crypt of St. Mark to a sarcophagus found in Alexandria, Egypt. It means the body inside may have been none other than the conqueror Alexander the Great.
Look at how perfectly that sits there.
It's an excellent fit.
I mean, right down to this almost seems like it interlocks into the very edge of the corner here.
So the next step here is we can actually try to reconstruct the blocks that were missing.
Okay.
Andrew and Joseph have worked together, and using Andrew's decades of research on ancient Macedon, they've managed to visually reconstruct the rest of the casing that surrounded the sarcophagus, so that we can view what the complete tomb might have looked like for the very first time.
Right, if this stone wasn't broken, it would look like what?
There we go.
It's incredible.
We need to test that the corner of the spear hits the bottom right-hand corner of the block.
Get out of here. Oh my word!
It goes, yeah. Hits exactly the spot.
And this goes right to the edge of the curve of the sarcophagus.
Exactly where there would have been another block.
This is like magic.
Means we have a fit between the casing and the sarcophagus in length as well as in height.
And can you reconstruct the other sides?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, what's that look like? Unbelievable, that is incredible. And can we see the long side over here?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so now this side.
There we go.
Unreal.
A mirror of the opposite side.
Yeah. They were big into symmetry, yes?
Absolutely. Symmetry was the whole thing.
Look at that. That is unbelievable. It just looks so perfect wrapped around.
Right.
Just perfect in every way.
That's the way it fits. Perfectly.